When I'm with you, I feel I came up in nothing, you can't tell me. Yeah, did it on my own, check out my neck, check out my wrist. Yeah, I swear I ain't never expected it to be like this. Now, getting rich, I swear every day we lit. Yeah, every day we lit. Yeah, you can't tell me. Yeah, before I was broke. Yeah, now I'm getting rich. Yeah, when you down, you come then you know you lit. When you quit, take it. Then you know you lit. Every day we lit. Yeah, 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 every day we lit. Every day we lit. Every day we lit. Every day we lit. She say, do you love me? I tell her only partly. I only love my bed and my mom. I'm sorry. She does. I even try to tell it on me. 81 to bring the pressure to the party. And you know me. Turn the 02 into the 03. Without 40 Ollie, there be no me. Imagine if I never met the broskies. God's plan. God's plan. I can't do this on my own. Hey, someone watching it close. Yeah, close. I've been meaning to call it roll. Hey, hey. I go down to G.O.D. Yeah, wait. I go hard on Southside G. Hey, wait. I make sure that Northside E. It's good. Bad things. It's a lot of bad things. They wish and wish and wish and wish and wish. Bad things. It's a lot of bad things. Yeah. I ain't trying to die young, I ride with one. Still 10 toes down to my He ran out on it, that's a shot. Cold-hearted, boys the block out. Gotta keep it on me.
Everybody, we'll get started shortly. Welcome, welcome.
Tell me why the legends always gotta die quick. Without a rubber, never in the streets like it on top of the cover. Money on the dresser, drive a compressor, top notch, get the most, not the lesser. Trash like the people $40 in the club. Up the game to get no love. Keep it cross country, give it all that they got. A thousand to the papa, pulling feelings off the lot. I smashed up the gray one, brought me a red. Every time we hit the parking lot, we turn red. Some wanna choose, but it's too scary. Told me you ain't a pimp, you a fairy. Baby, you will roll it solo, time to get down with the team. There's a freedom on that other side, you know what I mean? I say, you never seen everyone of the world. That can make you the eight that you won't be my girl. I say my girl, I don't need my woman, it ain't my style. Be a real street stalker, don't want the 3 mile. Robbing up the paper, on the dad is home stable, but he able to realize I'm the truth and not a fable, baby.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining the Pieces Essential Digital Rally. We're really excited to have you. We have over 100 people on the Zoom and thousands that are actually tuning in to our live. To get us started, we're going to introduce our first musical guest. Please give it up digitally for Phony People.
Adriana Keys, won't you please? Real love so hard to find. Just when you think you found it, the illusions in your eyes. And that's why I love And that's why I love the moon, 'cause it's always there for me. Every night about my window. And that's why I love the moon, 'cause it's always there for me. Every single night I look outside and see it right there for me. And my love, and that's why I love the moon, yeah. Because people can consume my love in the wrong way, so I send it up. At night, at night, at night. Your love's so hard to find. Just when you think you found it, the illusions in your eyes are blind. So be careful where you look now. Oh, just be careful where you look now. Oh, your love's so hard to find. Just when you think you found it, the illusions in your eyes are blind. So be careful where you look for love. Oh, just be careful where you look for love. Oh, man, man. Hey. Hey, yo, Barry Bass, what's going on, my brother? Shout out to GameCube, baby. We see you, GameCube. Let you rock on the guitar, what's up? Shout out to Talk, man. Agent Brown and Keys. What's up? Hey, shout to Rob it, twist it, flick it, pull it, spin it. Threes to the moon, then threes to the stars, threes to Saturn, and to yeah, threes to the moon. When you see me in the street, you better say threes. Don't say peace, say threes. Thank you so much. We are phony people from Brooklyn, New York. This is our first Plugged.
Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome. My name is Maxwell Frost. I'm the National Organizing Director at March for Our Lives. And we'd like to welcome you to the very first Peace is Essential digital rally. Give it up. Give it up silently because everyone's muted. Welcome to our digital rally. You know, we decided to put this rally together because we wanted to celebrate a new campaign that we're actually launching today. March for Our Lives and Community Justice Actions Fund are coming together for the Peace is Essential campaign. As many of y'all know, we're going through some very interesting and really horrible times with everything going on with COVID. And governments are being forced to choose what's essential and what isn't essential. And we put this campaign together because we want to make sure that violence intervention programs, services, and organizations across this nation are deemed essential. And the reason they should be deemed essential is because the lives they're saving on a daily basis are essential. And we want to make sure that they continue to get the funding that they need to save lives on a daily basis, because the lives are essential and the peace is essential as well. And so what we're doing is we're launching a donate and advocate campaign, a donate campaign where folks can donate to these organizations, which we're going to have some folks talk about that in a second, but also advocate, calling governors from key states across the country and asking and demanding that they keep these services essential and that they keep their funding throughout the COVID era and even after it, because they are essential. So we'd like to thank y'all all for coming. We're really working at making a better world here in the United States. And, you know, it makes me think of Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. She says, what the people want is simple, a country as good as its promise. And that's what we're working to do, to fulfill the promise of this nation. And we need to ensure that peace is essential in everything we do. So thank you all so much for being here at the Peace Essential Rally. Thank you to Phony People from Brooklyn, New York for that amazing music. And thank you to DJ Schemes for the amazing beats and being on the ones and twos at the beginning there. So thank you so much to all of y'all. I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to two amazing women. Give it up for the executive directors of March for Our Lives and Community Justice Action Fund, Amber and Alexis. Thank you all so much.
Thank you so much. And my name's Amber Goodwin, and I am so honored and proud to actually be coming to you from Houston, Texas, from actually Barbara Jordan's former congressional district. Thank you so much, first of all, to all of you for being on this call and being a part of this rally. There are so many things going on right now. And so we are honored that you're spending time with us at this digital rally. We are so excited and pleased to announce that our two organizations, Community Justice Action Fund and March for Our Lives, have partnered to launch Peace is Essential, because we believe that peace is essential every single day, no matter where you live in this country. CJAF is a national advocacy organization fighting with and for communities of color to end gun violence. We were formed after the shooting in Charleston at Mother Emanuel Church. March for Our Lives is a national gun violence prevention and youth advocacy organization that was formed after the shooting in Parkland, Florida. Both of our organizations fundamentally believe and are committed to ending gun violence in all of our communities. Now more than ever, we need to support and sustain efforts across the country to end gun violence. We would be remiss if we did not start off this conversation by talking about how many of us are reeling across the country from the death of Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, his senseless murder that happened many weeks ago that we are just finding out about. Now is the time to demand justice for our communities every single day. Today, you'll hear from our brothers and sisters that are on the front lines across the country, and they've been fighting many people for decades. This rally and this campaign are an effort to show how important it is to align our efforts and our priorities with the field of tireless advocates across the country. And now I'm going to turn it over to my sister Alexis to tell you a little bit more about the campaign.
Thank you, Amber, and thank everyone for being on today. We are so proud to be part of this community and family with you. We have representatives from tons of different organizations, including very local grown organizations to national organizations. So thank you for joining us. It has been such an amazing journey to work with CJAF on this, and I really want to shout out the work of Amber and Greg and all the amazing policy work that they do. Our partnership is going to be important in two different ways. One, we want to make sure that we are helping to support and amplify the work of local organizations across the country. And so we are going to be talking about specific grants today to those organizations to help them keep their work going during COVID. We know that this is a tough time for many nonprofits in the country. And this work is frontline, rapid response, first responders, and must continue to be highlighted. Secondly, CJF in the weeks and months to come and March for Our Lives will be announcing ways that we will continue to educate voters and mobilize voters as we lead up to the 2020 general election. We know that there are many local races, there's a presidential that people are paying attention to, and so we're committed to turning out in states, to focusing on communities of color and continuing to make sure that our voices are heard this November. And so as a part of this partnership, we're excited to announce one-time direct support grants in conjunction with our two organizations. We are highlighting 7 organizations today that are on the front lines working each day to address violence and make our communities safer. We want to thank these organizations and offer our gratitude for all the work that they do. We recognize that we are part of this fight together as a family of frontline workers. We want to make sure that this work is lifted up in each one of our stories and the way we think about all of our policy and programmatic work. We also want to acknowledge the countless other organizations across the nation that are doing this similar work, that the list is too many to even mention on this rally today, but we hope that all of you will recognize that these organizations are out there. They need our support through funding, and they need our support through advocacy. So today you're going to hear a lot about what those dollars will do, and we recognize this is a small contribution from us, but we hope that this creates a ripple effect across the country, especially when it comes to governors. And advocating, which we all know, we all have time, we're all stuck at home, and so how can you take direct action to highlight these organizations and highlight the work that is done in peace interventions across the country? So thank you, thrilled to be here with you today, and I'll kick it back to our hosts.
Hey, Daffy, you're muted.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So my name is Stephanie Frias. I'm the New York State Director of March for Our Lives. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. And I have the amazing privilege to introduce a huge inspiration of mine, a huge mentor of mine, Miss Erica Ford. So Erica Ford is an internationally recognized and widely respected peacemaker. Erica Ford has been at the forefront of reducing youth and community violence in New York City and beyond for 30 years. Believing in the power of partnership, Erica has championed personal and systematic approaches to conflict resolution worldwide. Through Life Camp Inc.'s groundbreaking programs, Erica has empowered thousands of individuals and families to break the cycle of violence and promote peace. Erica's concept for increasing safety has been adopted and implemented by New York City, resulting in 10% reduction in violence citywide. Through the years, Erica's dedication to reducing violence among New Yorkers has garnered countless awards. Her recognized leadership has brought extensive travel and teaching opportunities in prisons, community centers, and high schools, and college campuses and conferences throughout the world. Erica is widely respected as one of the most diligent and hardworking activists in her generation. She is uncompromisingly dedicated to improving the lives of Black and Latino youth and the community at large. For more than 30 years, this outstanding leader and internationally recognized peace activist has led the effort to combat violence and inspire youth across devastated communities. Thank you so much.
Hey, Daphne. Hello, everybody. We're actually going to go right back to Erica, and we're actually going to kick it. And that was an amazing intro. Thank you so much, Daphne. We're actually going to kick it over to Zion Kelly, who's a March for Our Lives student.
Greetings, everyone. I am Zion Kelly, and today I will be introducing Homies Unidos. Homies Unidos works to end gun violence and promote peace in our Central American communities through gang prevention. They also work to promote human rights in immigrant communities and empower youth families in El Salvador and Los Angeles communities.
I'm on this call right now, so just go in there and check in.
To achieve their full potential in a just, safe, and healthy society. For over 14 years, Homies Unidos have been a catalyst for change, working to end gun violence and promote peace in our communities through gang prevention, the promotion of human rights in immigrant communities, and the empowerment of youth through positive alternative gang involvement and destructive behavior. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Should I go ahead and present?
Yes, sir.
All right, all right. I first want to apologize. I'm in a U-Haul truck right now. Why you can't see that because of the back screen. We're picking up about 200 people amount of food right now to feed 200 people in the neighborhoods where we do our violence prevention work and intervention work. That's part of our strategy to work in our communities to address the issues of needs that lead sometimes to gun violence and violence overall. My name's Alex Sanchez. I'm the executive director of Homies Unidos. We are a organization that has focused in the immigrant communities of Pico Union, Westlake, and Koreatown areas of just west of downtown Los Angeles. But we've also done some work in Long Island, New York, as well as the DC metropolitan area, and including the Mission District of San Francisco, where a lot of the Central American youth reside. Our focus has always been to address the issues that affects our immigrant communities when it comes to violence, including gun violence. Many of the youth in those communities have been really disenfranchised in regards to the larger conversation around the issues of violence in those communities. For the most part, organizations that reside in those communities that serve the immigrant community are focused on doing the or working around immigration reform, not so much working on the issue of violence prevention, right? So we've had to address those needs through Homies Unidos, and also educate the other immigrant organizations in the community about this. On the other hand, we've also had to kind of push ourselves into the larger conversation around why our issues are important in the larger conversation around prison reform, as well as violence prevention when it comes to immigration, right? We are working at that intersection of those two issues of immigration and the criminalization of them, as well as folks that are in prison. So it's been difficult to really bring that to the forefront in the discussion, because both movements don't see eye to eye on both topics, right? Some people think that immigration is a whole other issue that prison reform should not be talking about, as well as immigration. They say we are not criminals, totally isolating those immigrants that have been criminalized, right? So we understand that many folks that end up in prison are individuals that have been in those communities and have been victims of violence, which is one of the most important things when it comes to the work that we're doing, when it comes to the healing aspect of many of those folks that are coming from prison, or immigrants that are coming from Central America, that they themselves don't see themselves as victims, right? Because violence is so prevalent in their communities, is a way to life. And if you get injured, you just survive and suck it up and move on. Especially in the gang world that I was part of, I never saw myself as a victim. I never saw myself as being shot 4 times, classify me as a victim of a crime, right? Or a survivor for now that I know and understand who I am and what I am. And I understand now that we need to start really addressing gun violence in a whole different perspective in our communities when it comes to dealing with violence prevention, right? So we have a contract with the city as part of a subcontract for the GRID program, the Gang Reduction, the Youth Development Program, to work specifically in communities that are gang involved as part of our violence prevention and intervention work. We are really pleased that we've been able to do a lot of work in the immigrant community on the topic of violence prevention. We have many success stories. And today we're gonna be coming into the community and serving over 200 meals, as well as providing groceries to over 200 people. And we just got notified that we're gonna have a really special guest with it, which is gonna be Danny Trejo, that's gonna be bringing in his tacos from Trejo's Tacos. So, you know, we're pretty excited that we're getting some notice in regards to the city and the county, in regards to how do we connect those issues when it comes to violence prevention. We're looking at this issue also in a whole different way, in which a lot of folks have not looked at it. Is the transnational impact that violence has. We all know, and you probably all heard of the violence in Central America due to MS-13 and gangs and the approach of suppression. Most recently, there's been the government's been pushing this tough initiatives, really exposing the human rights violations that are happening with people incarcerated and youth in the streets that are involved in violence, which they're dealing with basically social cleansing. Um, we felt that it was important to always keep that in mind, to not lose that connection to the Central Americans since we are immigrants. And right now we've been just before COVID-19, we have planned to go down to El Salvador and start our first reentry program for women coming out of prison in California prisons, where they were going to be housed and provided all their needs prior to being able to integrate into the community. So this was something that was going to be unique. It's on standstill right now. There has been really difficult to get funding for something on that to that magnitude, because most of the funds and organizations provide only funding for local or national issues, not transnational. So we've been working on that. We've been able to do our work with fundraising and whatnot, right? We're not a huge organization, but we do amazing things with the staff that we have. It wouldn't be happening if it wouldn't have wouldn't be the fact that we have some dedicated staff. Most of our staff are formerly incarcerated, and all of them have been victims of violence and gun violence, for that matter. So, so we're happy to be part of this. I want to thank you all for giving me an opportunity to let you know of the work that we do and the healing work that we do to address the issues of youth violence in our immigrant communities.
Thank you so much, Alex. I am so proud to call you my brother, and we appreciate all the work that you have done for so many decades to keep our community safe, not just in LA, but across California and across the country. So we are honored for you being a part of this. We are next going to go right up the road from me in Dallas, Texas. We're going to go next to Sarah Mercuria, who is with Mothers Against Police Brutality, which is a new voice for justice for victims of police brutality and deadly force. They are a multi-racial, multi-ethnic coalition uniting mothers nationwide to fight for civil rights. And so, Sarah, we are honored that you're here with us. You should be unmuted and can go ahead.
My name is Sarah, but I don't think you're referring to me. I've been getting messages asking that I unmute myself, but I think you're thinking of a different Sarah.
I think that that's right. Let's find, oh.
I want to apologize. I will have to leave because I got to get back to this food distribution, but I want to just let you know I'm on board. Whatever you need from us here on the West Coast, please get a hold of us. Thank you.
Hi, sorry about that. You know, Sarah is a very common name. There's always about 10 in every group. So I am the Sarah from Mothers Against Police Brutality, Korea. Thank you all so much for having me be a part of this. We are so grateful to be a part of this rally and to also receive this grant. Oh, I have been talking. Did y'all hear me? Could you hear me before?
We could hear you before, yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, you know, sorry, I'm an analog girl in a digital world. I wish I had the beautiful background that y'all have, but I just couldn't get it together. So I want to tell you a little bit about Mothers Against Police Brutality. We were started in 2013 by Colette Flanagan, our founder, when her son was brutally killed by Dallas police officers. He was shot 7 times, the last time in the back. He was unarmed. I myself am directly impacted. I lost my father to police in 1992. And I think it's really important that we always talk about officer involved, state-sanctioned violence when we talk about gun violence, because 10% of all fatalities from guns are from police officers. And while this is very difficult to be in quarantine and dealing with the aftermath of being in a global pandemic, what we have seen every day are videos of police brutality that have escalated to use of deadly force because of lack of social distancing. And so it's really important when we talk about gun violence that we always include state sanctioned violence. And so we appreciate being a part of this conversation. Our goal is to end police brutality in this country and around the world, but our focus is in this country. And the way that we do this is by pushing for accountability when there is use of deadly force, and then also pushing for district attorney's offices to prosecute when officers use unnecessary deadly force. And as many of you have seen, you know, the entirety of my lifetime, and probably everybody on this calls, very often, especially now in the digital age where we see these videos, we see the unjust use of deadly force, and there's never accountability. And so that's why Mothers Against Police Brutality pushes for finding alternatives to violence, and we have to do that in our own families, in our communities, but we also have to expect that from our government and our state. So hello to everyone. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate being part of this conversation, and I look forward to working with all of you to ending violence in our communities and creating peace.
Hello, thank you so much for that. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to an amazing brother who's doing some amazing work on the ground, like all of our speakers. Please give it up for Brother Lyle. And you should be unmuted. So, oh, there you go.
Yes, I think I know you can hear you. And I know I got the floating head effect here, but I did the best I could to get the background up, so you have to deal with the floating head syndrome. But I just want to say, on behalf of the Circle of Brotherhood and on behalf of the amazing work that this awesome network of people have invested their time and energy in, that it makes it clear that although mass media may make it seem as though that we're losing, we truly are winning, because there's some amazing things being done across this country, and thanks to this awesome network. So on behalf of the Circle of Brotherhood, we're just honored to not only be a part of it, but to be a part of a puzzle. And I remember when the Hunger 9 of our organization were on their 21.5-day hunger strike, and some beautiful members of March for Our Lives came and visited. And it wasn't just a meeting of the minds from people who have been directly affected by gun violence in different communities, but yet on the other side of that coin, peoples whose hearts are so sincere about this, that this is more than just a movement or a mission. It is a job that is going to get done because the love that's involved. And so it's an honor to be a part of any network that is doing any good work. And there are a lot of different things that can be done. And I just want to say to the young people who are on the line, I'm a little older probably than most, but I remember having an opportunity to have met Queen Mother Moore. She worked directly with Marcus Garvey. And I got down on my knee as a young man at that time, and I asked her, as a young man in the struggle for justice and who wants to see peace on our planet, what advice do you have? And one of the things that she said as she looked up is, she said, I joined an organization at the age of 17. And I thought the struggle was going to be over because I joined. And she said, here I am 75 years later, still struggling. But every ounce of what we all do in our own communities, but also what we do together, it just proves the fact that not only is peace essential, it's contagious. And I look forward to, even though we're here in Miami, Florida, being a part of all of the networks that are doing something positive. Directly right now, We've had the great opportunity, and I'll share this last thing, during the current pandemic. Most of the food giveaways down here was mandated that you had to have cars. So there were so many people in communities who didn't have access to cars, who then didn't have access to food. So we immediately make sure, as the caretakers of our community, we begin through the help of, again, networking like what we're doing right now, to be able to provide food to people who don't have automobiles and can't do certain things, and also to play a role in the educational development. And lastly, shifting the paradigm shift, because there's a lot of beautiful things that are taking place right now in the midst of what's going on in the world. And peace is so essential that I'm charging everyone who's on this line to continue to do your part. In the circle of brotherhood in Miami, we'll continue to do our part as well. And God bless you, and we're forever grateful for March for Our Lives and Community Justice Action Fund.
And next up, we have Khalil from March for Our Lives.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
It's
sir.
skipping on my end. Okay. Hi, guys. I'm Khalil. I'm the Artivism Chair for the Student Congress of March for Our Lives. And I'll be introducing Congresswoman Robin Kelly. Congresswoman Robin Kelly has dedicated her career to public service as an advocate for Illinois families. Since being elected to serve the 2nd Congressional District in 2013, she has worked to expand economic opportunity, community wellness, and public safety across the state, championing for numerous initiatives to generate job growth, reduce health disparities, and end gun violence. Congresswoman Kelly is a member of the House of House Energy and Commerce Committee, the main policy writing body of the House, and serves on the Health, Energy, and Consumer Protection and Commerce subcommittees. Her energy and commerce work is focused on expanding access to healthcare, consumer protection for American families, and economic development.
Are you ready?
Yes, we can hear you, Congresswoman.
Oh, well, greetings, everyone. Hope you all are doing fine, and it's been a great conference. Or so far, I've just joined because I had other meetings that I had to be a part of. But thank you for inviting me. Thank you. It's truly, truly an honor to be with you today. I want to thank all of you who put this together. I'm just so proud of your tenacity, your determination, and what you're going to do to really change this situation around. We are working very hard in Congress, even though we're not in Washington, D.C. Of course, the COVID-19 has much of our attention, but I want to assure you that we're still pushing our gun violence prevention bills as much as we can. So we know we have COVID-19 work, but that we have other work too, because even though COVID-19 has stopped a lot of things, it has not stopped the gun violence that is occurring. In Chicago, I believe it was last weekend, 46 people were shot and 5 to 7 people died. And, you know, we had a night where 20 people were shot and then another weekend where a lot of people were shot. So the gun violence is still continuing. Thanks to you, when the Democrats took over this session, and a lot of it was a lot of the work that you guys did. 2 months after we took over, we were able to pass 2 bills, HR 8, the background check bill, and HR 1112, which closed a gun show loophole. We call it the Charleston loophole, a bill that my colleague, Congressman Jim Clyburn, is very passionate about because he lost 9 constituents at Mother Emanuel's Church. And that closes the loophole where if once the background check is done, if it doesn't come back that you can absolutely, yes, buy a gun, you cannot buy a gun, because that's what happened in that case, that it did not come back conclusively no. So the store owner still sold Dylan the gun, and you know the consequences of that. You know, we are fighting hard in Congress, but you guys are so, so very important. We need the voices outside. We need March for Our Lives. We need Good Kids Mad City. We need Community Action Fund, and we need the moms groups. We need everybody to really keep the pressure on. And this is a very important time to keep the pressure on because we have elections coming up, and we have really important elections coming up in the Senate. There are more, and I hate to be, I usually work in a very bipartisan way, but the truth of the matter is Mitch McConnell will not call these bills up, even though the bill was bipartisan that passed to the Senate, but it's harder to get gun safety legislation passed in the Senate, and it is Republican controlled. But there's a lot of Republicans, maybe 9 to 10, that are up for re-election that are having the challenges of their life. So we really, really need to put the pressure on. When we had the groups come to DC, you know, a group of us from Illinois and Kentucky went to visit Mitch McConnell, and we were in his office a good hour at least. And he never came out, but I think his chief or his legislative director came out, and she assured us that he really cared about this issue, and on and on and on and on. But I can tell you, up until this point, that was all just talk, because nothing has been done. And again, that's why we need to keep the pressure on. We need to help, you know, Senator Blumenthal and Senator Murphy, because they're really champions for this effort. Since beside those other two bills, there are other bills that are in the hopper. We've put a couple of bills in, so I just want to share those bills with you. One that we call it's HR 6318. So we need your support. It's called the UP Act. It reinvests in our communities, because I always say nothing stops a bullet like an opportunity. While reinvesting, and we are also enacting common sense gun safety reforms, but this is a more comprehensive bill. So please take a look at it, and I hope you can add your voice on social media and with contacting your legislator for support. Additionally, I continue to work to pass the rest of the gun bills in my big suite of gun bills, legislation that requires the Surgeon General to report on the public health impact of gun violence, because it is a public health crisis. I have a bill to bring guns and ammunition under the jurisdiction of the Consumer Protection Bureau. If you can believe this, guns were cut out. We check teddy bears, we check cribs, we check strollers, but we do not check guns or ammunition for safety. And this definitely should be under the Consumer Protection Bureau. I have legislation to prevent gun trafficking called HR 4116, where I represent in the Chicagoland area. It's the straw purchasing and the trafficking that affects us so much. We're right on the border of Wisconsin and Indiana that have very, very loose gun laws. And we have a lot of the crime guns are trafficked from those states, about 50% or 60%. So we need help with a national gun trafficking law and straw purchasing law that would really help us. We also have the Heroes for At-Risk Youth Act, and another bill to keep guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals like domestic abusers and stalkers. So not just husbands, but boyfriends and partners. It's all very, very important. While House Democrats, again, have been able to push these bills through the House with the support of a number of Republicans in the House, we are blocked, again, to remind you, by Senator Mitch McConnell. To be frank, he does not care. Young people are killed, all kind of people are killed every day in Louisville and elsewhere in Kentucky, just like in the Chicagoland area or East St. Louis. And yet he does nothing but remain beholden to the NRA. I'd be interested to see how much money they have bungled for him. He definitely stands in the way of common sense, broadly supported life-saving action as people continue to get shot, or we don't talk about it enough, but people that continue to die, and we don't talk about it enough, but people that are shot and they're alive, but their lives are changed forever. We again need your help with this. We need allies. We need the cavalry. We're at a unique moment because again, so many Republican senators are up for re-election, and they need to hear from you. Also, the other thing is 2020, and there's a census going on beside the election, and we need all of you to push for the census to be filled out. Like in the state of Illinois, if people don't fill out the census, we are going to lose not 1 seat, but 2 seats. And that might be one less voice that we need to fight this epidemic. But I want to thank you all again. Thank you for your dedication, your tenacity, your ideas. No one has all the ideas. You're realizing that we're all in this together. It's not just about the mass shootings. It's not just about the urban shootings or death, loss, domestic violence. It's about all of it together. We all need to work together because together we are definitely stronger and we will be able to get more things done. So thank you so much again for inviting me. I'm truly honored, and let's keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman. That was beautiful. It was really great hearing from you, and I'm really appreciative that you joined this call and shared your voice. My name is Tandiwe Abdullah. I am an organizer on the Student Congress. I'm a part of the Equity and Inclusion and Artivism Committee, and I will be introducing JT from ROCA. But before I do that, I think that it would be very bad if we did not uplift Ahmaud Arbery, who was shot and lynched yesterday in Georgia. We really do need to think about how gun violence and gun reform is directly tied to white supremacy and white supremacist terrorism. And that was the most gross display of white supremacist terrorism that we have seen. And it just goes to show, like Max was saying, that this quarantine is not stopping gun violence. This quarantine is not preventing these murders, right? And so I think it was worth mentioning, and I hope that y'all try and do some work around that, sign some petitions. So ROCA was founded in 1988, and ROCA's mission is to move disengaged and disenfranchised young people out of violence and poverty. ROCA's intervention model is a cognitive restructuring and skills development intervention that was developed and implemented to address the high-risk, underserved population of 17 to 24-year-old males who are either 1, aging out of juvenile justice or juvenile probation systems with a strong propensity for reincarceration as an adult, 2, connected with the adult justice system, or 3, are high-risk members of the community being served who have a strong propensity for incarceration as an adult. ROCA has a strong organizational culture where learning personal experience, leading with values, and having deep faith are essential to achieve bold goals with disenfranchised young people. ROCA helps young people to change their behavior and shift the trajectories of their lives to move toward the outcomes of economic independence and living out of harm's way. So please welcome JT from ROCA. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate the opportunity to share with you this afternoon. ROCA basically summed it up. We operate from a place of purpose. What we must understand is that in order to attack this problem head on, we have to really operate with purpose. Without purpose, there is no vision or goal. There is nothing to work towards. Our purpose is to really help young men change the trajectory of their lives and give them a chance to realize that change is possible, 1. 2, that what they've been told their whole lives is a lie. And 3, that they have value. And we can show them how to navigate that path through life, because what we understand and what we know is that in our urban environments, a lot of these opportunities have not been afforded to our young men like they have across the other parts of the country. COVID is America's problem. It's an America issue. It's a worldwide issue, which is why it's receiving so much attention. But gun violence, it's been around since I've been alive and way before. My question, or what I often wonder, is when are we going to take the time to give the same attention to gun violence as we do to this outbreak? Because gun violence has been outbreaking across our country for so long. It's been outbreaking across our country for so long, and it's been affecting our colored communities, mostly disproportionate colored communities. And when we see things like COVID happen, now it's affecting the rich, it's affecting the poor, it's affecting all colors. But even in the middle of COVID, you still see the disconnect. Because where's the public education campaigns that go out to these urban communities to help people understand the importance of not being outside without a mask on, not hanging with your homies, not passing the blunt, not sharing a bottle? Where's the public education campaigns that go on around all this stuff that are so important? Because what we know is that most of our people in our community, they live in multi-generational households. So if I'm outside hanging with the homies, passing the blunt, and I go home, and I contract something, I go home, that's what's going to die in the household. Grandma, who probably has all the pre-existing medical conditions because her neighborhood is a food desert. She doesn't have the proper access to health care. Just you name it. So we have to attack this as well as still continue to deal with the problem that we've been facing for so long, which is gun violence. Local Baltimore, we really focus on the opportunity to provide young men an opportunity for change. We do that by challenging them on any and all negative behaviors that exist in their life. There is nothing that's off limits. We will talk about everything. We challenge them on everything. One of the biggest things we've been pushing around this time is domestic violence and child abuse, because we know that when people stuck inside, those numbers tend to rise, right? But also we know in the hood that those things have been deemed off limits to talk about, or, you don't talk about what goes on in my house or this, that, and the third. No, we do. And we're going to, because it affects the way that your child is going to grow up. It affects the people around you, it affects your community. So we have to address violence from all different angles. Gun violence is what we particularly focus on, because we know that our young men are often victims as well as perpetrators of violence. And we have to approach it from a holistic standpoint, or else, we're missing something. So it's important for us to really be able to help these young men understand that change is possible and that they can do things different with their lives. We use cognitive behavioral therapy, which is a set of 7 skills that teaches young men basically how to emotionally regulate. Because if I could teach them how to emotionally regulate, then some of the decisions that they make, or they'll think twice about some of the decisions that they make, I should say. Not to get too far into it, but it really, science and reality kind of go hand in hand. Because the brain science tells us that young men or people who are highly traumatized, sections of their brain actually close off. And it closes the neural pathways and doesn't allow them to be able to move to the place to make executive functions, which is in the front of the brain. What we have to do is help our young men deal with the trauma that they suffered in their lives, and help them be able to reopen or create new neural pathways to help them be able to make better decisions. It's scientific, but when we break it down to actual work or actual functions or actual what it looks like, we do it through cognitive behavioral theory. It's about things that you value. It's about all the things that are important to you. We use those things to try to help our young men see that that there's something different out there for them. Many of the employees or many of the staff here come from the same environment, have some of the same experiences that some of our young men have had, and we use that to really try to help them understand that you're looking at and working with living examples of what change is or what change could possibly be. But again, it's a young population, so it takes time. It takes time. We're a 4-year model, so we keep our young men for 4 years. We also have a social enterprise where we teach our young men how to work. The biggest misconception that I often hear is young people need jobs, right? Yeah, they do need jobs, but they need to understand how to work first. If they don't know how to work, what good is a job going to do them? You get them a job, they get fired, all you're doing is re-traumatizing. So what you have to do is teach them how to work first and then send them to work. And that's part of what we do here. We teach young people how to show up to work every day, how to show up to work, how to follow the rules, how to listen, how to, be good employees. And then we send them out to work. But we give them a practice field, because we have our own social enterprise where we pay young people minimum wage to go out to work every day. And that's the practice field. That's where they get to learn how to work. So when they get in an argument with the supervisor, yeah, that's unacceptable. You may get a write-up, you may get fired, but you have the opportunity to work your way back onto that work crew by addressing those negative behaviors and issues. So, excuse me, it's really about attacking this whole thing from a holistic approach. Peace is Peace is so essential, but so many of us live without it. And we have to find a way to find peace. And the way we find our peace is through purpose. Because when you're able to build transformational relationships with young people and really show them that you really care about them and that you really want what's best for them, despite what other people around may say or do, it goes a long way. Most of them don't have a trusted adult in their life. We have to be that. We have to be that trusted adult. We also have to be the one to hold them accountable. It's a little bit of good cop, bad cop. You can hate me today, but I'm gonna love you forever, so it doesn't matter. I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to help you be successful in life. And along that way, we're going to build a relationship. We're going to build a relationship where you know that you're going to be able to trust us no matter what happens. You can bring anything to us and we'll help you work through it. And that's what it's really about. That's our purpose. This is not a job. This is a purpose. This is a life calling. This is something that we called to do, because if I was, God bless, God fortunately, God willing, I have not been furloughed or had to, not have a job right now. But if I didn't, that wouldn't stop what I do, because this is my life. This is my purpose. So I thank you all for the opportunity to share with you this afternoon. And again, peace is so essential. I appreciate the Community Action Justice Fund. I appreciate March for Our Lives for granting us the award, because it's definitely needed to help us continue to work. And I appreciate everybody else on this call who's on the front lines, who are doing similar work. Anybody else on the front line doing different work. It's all needed. It's all important. It all requires purpose, and peace is essential. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to my brother, Greg Jackson from Community Justice Action Fund. Greg?
Unmuted. All right, I'm unmuted. Good evening, everybody. Thank you again, Max, JT, and everyone just for being on today and taking time out of your busy days from home. I'm sure if you're like me, you're getting really stir crazy and you're watching so much happen in the news and the newspaper and on your social media, and just feeling like, you wish you could do more and you wish you could take action. And so many of us are activists at Spirit. We work hard every day, whether it's volunteering, whether it's working for some of these nonprofits, whether it's interrupting violence, but we work hard every day. And now we're kind of stuck in this very, sheltered position. But it doesn't mean that you can't take action. It doesn't mean that you can't make a big difference. And that's why we pulled together this rally. We need you now more than ever. Your dollars matter, your time matters. Everything that you have now is very critical to make sure that we save lives every day. Today, we tried to feature some of the organizations that are doing amazing work across the country, many of which that we are personally supporting. We're going to be advocating for them on the phones. We're going to try to get them as much resources out of our own pockets and hopefully get a lot of other folks to donate alongside us, but to make sure that they have what they need in their communities to help reduce gun violence each and every day. So we really want to thank them, and thank you to everyone who's on the front lines. And if you're not on the front lines, know that this is your way to hopefully plug in and really make a difference here, even in these tough times. So again, shout out to everyone there. I know this is really tough. I actually lost my childhood pastor to coronavirus. So this is an exciting and refreshing way for me to hopefully be impactful in these tough times. So with that said, I'm gonna come back in a second to talk a little bit more about some of our advocacy efforts, but I'm gonna turn it over to Vickiana to talk about Field Pitch and what you can specifically do beyond donating.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Vickiana Petitum. I'm one of the regional directors for March for Our Lives. I'm based in Boston, and it's really an honor to be here with all of you, and thank you for choosing to share space with all of us around this amazing issue, because peace is truly, truly essential. And so these amazing people are doing amazing work, and they can't do it all by themselves. They need a lot of help. And, if a lot of us do a little, then a lot will get done. And so we really need all of you to pitch in and consider volunteering for March for Our Lives, and everyone, and all these amazing organizations that are doing good work in your local communities. In fact, we're going to be spending the next 30 minutes just phone banking and calling people. So we'd love for all of you to join us and take part and make some calls. So again, thank you so much for coming. And then I'm gonna pass it on to Jackson from Maryland to guide us through the phone banking.
Hey, so Jackson from Maryland, and unfortunately, actually wasn't able to make it on. Apparently, all of our Maryland students are actually all busy taking their finals today, which is the reality of being a student activist. But hi, I'm Eve. I lead up the marginalized national policy team and get to work really closely with folks like Jackson and Maryland who are pushing great state policy. And so I just wanted to give a little context about the phone bank that Maxwell and Greg will tell you about, which is that in Maryland, essentially, there was a great bill that was passed by the General Assembly that would include all of this essential funding that we're talking about and make sure that even in the age of coronavirus, that essential funding is not cut. The governor, Larry Hogan, has until tomorrow at midnight to sign this bill. Otherwise, that funding will go away. And so that's why the first state advocacy that we're going to be pushing in this campaign is trying to get as many folks in Maryland as possible to be contacting their governor to ensure that he signs this bill tomorrow, and that amazing groups on the ground, including Good Kids Mad City, Baltimore Ceasefire, and so many others get the funding that they need. And this has been an effort that has been supported by the entire by an amazing coalition in Maryland, which has been working, including so many of you on the call. And so we really hope that you will stay and phone bank to make sure that we can activate as many Maryland folks as possible to contact Governor Hogan before the deadline tomorrow. And I'll kick it back to Maxwell to get the phone bank started.
Hello, everybody. So yes, thank you for coming to the rally. We are now concluding the rally, and we're moving to personally my favorite part, which is the phone bank. And so I'm going to share my screen and show everybody how to do the phone bank, and then we'll get into it. I'm posting a link right now in the chat. If everyone can click on that link, it's going to lead you to the phone bank. And like Eve said, we're doing some really important work right now. We are contacting the governor's